Everyone says they want discipline. But very few people understand when discipline actually begins. It does not begin when you feel motivated. It does not begin when you feel inspired. And it certainly does not begin when the work feels exciting. Discipline begins when the work becomes boring, when the task is repetitive, when the progress feels slow, when nothing about the moment feels rewarding. Those are the hours that matter. Anyone can work when the energy is high. Anyone can push forward when the results are visible. Anyone can stay focused when the excitement is fresh. But excitement fades. Every project eventually becomes routine. Every skill eventually becomes repetition. Every path eventually becomes quiet, uneventful work. And that is the moment most people disappear. Not dramatically, not with a clear decision to quit. They simply slow down. They delay a little longer. They lose urgency. At first it looks harmless. A skipped day, a delayed task, a small break from the routine. But boredom is where commitment is tested, because boredom removes the emotional reward. The excitement disappears, the novelty fades, and without those things, only discipline remains. This is where the separation begins. Some people depend on motivation. They wait to feel energized. They wait to feel ready. But feelings are unreliable. Energy rises and falls. Focus comes and goes. Motivation appears, then disappears. Discipline does not depend on those things. Discipline is a decision repeated daily, regardless of mood, regardless of excitement, regardless of boredom. The disciplined person understands something simple. Progress is usually quiet, uneventful, repetitive. It does not always feel meaningful in the moment, but the work continues anyway. Page after page, rep after rep, day after day. Not because it feels exciting, but because it is necessary. And over time, those uneventful hours accumulate. Small improvements compound. Skill begins to sharpen. Quiet effort becomes visible results, but those results only belong to people who endure boredom. Because boredom is the gate most people never walk through. The moment the work becomes ordinary, the moment the excitement fades, that is when discipline truly begins. If you're done living in distraction, like and subscribe. This channel exists to help you protect your attention and build something real. Most people believe productivity depends on motivation. They wait to feel ready. They wait to feel focused. They wait to feel energized. But that approach quietly builds inconsistency. Because motivation is unstable, it rises, it fades, and it rarely appears when work is repetitive. This is the trap many people live inside. They associate action with emotion. If the energy feels high, they move. If the energy feels low, they wait. At first this seems harmless, even reasonable. But over time, the pattern becomes clear. Action becomes rare. Momentum becomes fragile. Progress becomes inconsistent. Because emotions are unreliable guides. Some days, energy is strong. Other days, it disappears completely. And if work depends on emotion, work becomes unpredictable. Disciplined people approach this differently. They remove emotion from the decision. The work is scheduled. The work is expected. The work simply begins. Whether the mood is strong or weak, whether motivation appears or not, this removes hesitation. The mind stops negotiating. It stops asking whether the moment feels right, because the decision has already been made. Work happens. Some days the focus arrives quickly. Other days it takes longer. Some days the work feels smooth. Other days it feels slow. But the effort remains consistent, and consistency creates something motivation never can. Momentum. When work happens daily, progress begins to accumulate. Skills improve. Understanding deepens. Confidence grows. Not dramatically, gradually, almost invisibly. But that quiet accumulation separates disciplined people from everyone else. Because most people stop when work becomes dull, or difficult, or emotionally unrewarding. Disciplined people continue anyway. They understand something simple. The most important work is rarely exciting. It is repetitive, uneventful, sometimes boring. But the work continues, because progress belongs to those who act, even when motivation disappears. In the end, discipline is not complicated. It is simply the decision to continue. Continue when the work feels slow. Continue when the excitement disappears. Continue when the routine becomes repetitive. These moments feel ordinary, uneventful, sometimes even dull, but that is exactly why they matter. Because boredom reveals commitment. Anyone can begin something new. Anyone can push forward during the early excitement. Anyone can work when results appear quickly. But very few people continue when the process becomes quiet, when the improvements are small, when the effort feels repetitive, when the reward feels distant. This is where most people slow down. They look for something more exciting, something more stimulating, something that produces faster results. But disciplined people recognize something different. Real progress rarely feels dramatic. It builds quietly, day after day, action after action. One page written, one repetition completed, one task finished. Individually, these actions appear small, almost insignificant. But accumulated over time, they become powerful. Because consistency compounds, skill improves, confidence grows, understanding deepens, and eventually the results appear. Not because of bursts of motivation, not because of sudden inspiration, but because the work continued when it was boring. That is the moment discipline reveals its value. The quiet hours no one noticed, the routine no one admired, the repetition most people avoided. Those moments built the outcome, and they always do. If this message resonated with you, like the video and subscribe. The work continues tomorrow.